forced to lift my new Toyota Tacoma, but I'm excited about it. Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Robmotive. And that's right, I am being forced to lift my new Toyota Tacoma. You know, I had gone back and forth about doing it anyway. I put the bigger tires on, a little bit taller, about an inch. And I thought, because, you know, I did my research, and I really did. And the consensus out there is if you go with a 265, 75, R16, you don't need to lift your Toyota Tacoma to avoid tire rubbing problems. But you see, that's probably if you maintain the original, or at least close to it, offset on the wheel. I went with a -10. Pushed the wheel out a little bit, changed the position somewhat so that I'd have a little bit of wheel poke. Well, I think in doing that, I created a problem. I created a rub. And the rub happens when I'm backing up, going that way, and I turn the steering wheel so that it's cocked really one way or the other. And I catch the front part of the fender, the inner fender liner well, if you will. I can't have that. Not going to live with that. Any amount of rub to me is a bad idea and a bad setup. And it's funny because I hear a lot of people say that they don't have any rub, but if you push them, because you know they do, they'll say, well, yeah, it rubs a little bit under X circumstance, whatever that is, right? Well, that's still a tire rub. It's not right. You can't have it. So, because of that, I am being forced to lift my Toyota Tacoma. Now, I say I'm excited about it because I do love lifts on trucks anyway, so it's not that big of a deal, and it just pushes me over the edge to go ahead and do something. Now, what am I doing? Well, I'm not doing anything extreme because, you see, I wanted something different for this truck than what I had on my previous truck, my 2020 TRD off-road. So I'm not going with a 3.2 lift. Actually, that lift ended up being a 3.5-2. Kind of gave me a little bit of a reverse rake, if you will. My front end was up in the air. I was never really hip about that look. It just wasn't my thing, and I just didn't dig it, you know? So, whatever I'm doing this time, or what I've decided to do this time, it's okay if I have a little bit of rake pointing down in the front, if it's just a little bit. I'm not gonna nitpick it. So, what I've looked at, I measured my truck, and with the sport bar on the back, the weight, it's 114.6 pounds. I put some weight back there so I could see where I needed to be. And the back of my truck, sitting with that sport bar on, which, by the way, is not on right now, but it would be an inch and a quarter taller in the rear than in the front. So I would have to raise the front because I am going for a level look without doing anything on the rear suspension. I would have to raise the front about an inch and a quarter if I wanted to be dead on exact. Like I said, I'm not concerned that, you know, to the nth degree it's perfect, but it'll be close enough. What I'm doing, I looked at putting on spacers. I didn't really want spacers. I'm just not a big fan. I think it kind of destroys the ride a little bit, you know? So I'm going Bilsteins. I'm going Bilstein 5100 adjustables. Now, I had done that on my last truck along with new coils. I'm not changing the coils. I'm sticking with stock because, frankly, it gave me too firm of a ride in the front. I don't want that. I want to maintain the ride as much as possible. And the guy that I went to and talked to, and this was at Texas Tire down here in Harlingen, that's where I'm having it done. He agreed that the best ride I could probably get, there's always a probably there, right? But the best ride that I could get would be with the Bilsteins. And I know they're more expensive than a block, and they're going to make more money if they sell me the Bilsteins. I know all that. But I've done research on them as well. And I would say 99% of the comments that I have seen regarding using Bilsteins versus spacers were positive, and that you're going to get the best ride out of the Bilstein. So that's the way I'm going to go. Now, as far as the setting, there are, I believe, 4 different options that you can choose from on the adjustable Bilstein shocks. 1 is 0, 2 is 0.85, 3 is 1.1, and 4 is, I believe, 2.75. That's the shock maxed out, if you will. I don't want that. I want to have as much play in them as I can. So I'm going with 1.1. 1.1 is still going to be a little bit below perfectly level in a perfect world. Good luck. So I'm okay with that. You know, it'll be, what, point something. I don't really care. I think I'm going to end up with the best look that I can get. And to be honest, if I don't like that for some reason, I still have another option. I can go down to 0.85 and definitely have more rake in the front still. Not a big deal. Again, I don't really care about that. It's interesting too. I was talking to the guy about a 1/2 inch or a 1 inch lift. And I never knew this before until I got into the truck modding world. But if you go with a 1 inch spacer, you know, a 1 inch block, if you will, that's going to yield 2 inches of lift in the front because of the geometry of the truck. So to attain a 1 inch lift in the end, I would have to use a 1/2 inch spacer, which is out there. I mean, you can get them, but they're a heck of a lot less common. Typically, people go with a 2 inch. And it's funny because a lot of people will state that they're leveling their truck, they're going with a 2 inch spacer. A 2 inch spacer does not level the truck. A 2 inch spacer is going to be 1 inch, yielding a 2 inch lift, which is going to give you a higher rake, an opposite rake, if you will, or a higher front end. I don't want that. So everybody out there that says that you can put a 2 inch spacer, block, whatever you want to call it, in the front is mistaken. That is not going to give you a level truck. To do level, you need to measure the back as compared to the front and then try to accommodate that difference with whatever method you choose. I do not and have not seen a truck with 2 inches higher in the rear. I've not seen that on the Toyota Tacoma, so putting a 2 inch lift on the front is indeed not going to give you a lifted truck. Anyway, that's my plan. That's what I'm doing. I've got the appointment scheduled. Gonna be there first thing in the morning, hopefully get it done. They told me it will take about 5 hours. Honestly, in my research, it shouldn't take, especially somebody who does this all the time, any more than a couple of hours. No more than 2 hours. I think I could probably do it myself without a camera in about 4 hours, and that's doubling the time because I've never done it before. Which, by the way, I did think about doing it, but then I thought, I've never done it. For the money, I'm just going to go ahead and have it professionally done. Now, one other thing I do want to add, it does require an alignment, so anytime you mess around with the suspension in the front of your truck, you do have to have it aligned. That accounts for about 60 bucks of the cost, and I'll go over the cost of the whole thing and exactly what I did, which I've pretty much done almost here, once I have it done. But $60 or so of that is the alignment, so we'll hit that later on. Anyway, leave a comment, let me know what you think. I'm particularly curious if you've ever done that, just the 2 inch block in the front or spacer. Did you notice that in the end you did have a truck that was higher in the front? And did you like that? Did you just settle for it and go with it? I'd be curious to know. Also, real quick, I do have 2 additional channels. Robmotive FST, all about my 2021 Toyota Tundra, which will be lifted down the road as well. And Robmotive JT, all about my 2020 Jeep Gladiator. Check them out, and if you're interested, why not subscribe? Don't forget to click that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. And do me a favor, smash that subscribe button on the way out. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.